Ahoy there, mateys, and welcome back to Carvalho Creations. I'm your host, Captain Carvalho. And on this week's episode, I'm going to be showing you how to make your very own treasure map, worthy of Blackbeard himself. So why don't you go ahead and grab yourself a bottle of rum, sit back and relax, because we are about to go wild.
What's happening, everyone? So today's video, we're going to be making a pirate map. And this is going to be really super easy, but nice and effective. It's going to look really cool. The only things we're going to need for today is this piece of, it's like a cardstock, so relatively thick construction paper. I got a really nice big square one, and then we're going to need some kind of tray so we can hold our coffee in there. This is how we're going to stain the piece. So all I'm going to do is pour this coffee inside this tray. And then I'm going to go ahead and dip and submerge this piece of cardstock in it as much as possible. Make sure your coffee's cooled down before you do this. Hopefully you guys can see this, but I'm just allowing the coffee to kind of saturate in there and get as much of this as possible. So what I'm going to do is submerge it a little bit, make sure it gets full of coffee all over. It's going to help this to be a little more pliable as well. And then I'll take it out, let it dry, and then do another coat. Okay, so another thing I wanted to mention too was when we go ahead and do these additional coats, we want to make sure that we're crinkling this up. You see all that crease and crinkle in there? It's really going to add a lot of character to this pirate map once it's nice and dry. So I want to make sure I'm crunching it up, spinning it around, dipping it inside, and letting that color bleed into all the cracks and crevices. You can see it here. It's really going to add a nice effect toward the end. All right, so I just took out the piece all dry now. So now we have the map all dried, and as you can see, it has a lot of color and texture in it just from that coffee and letting it crinkle up. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to fray all these edges, and we're going to be burning them with a torch here. Kids, make sure you get some assistance from an adult if you try this. Taking a little butane torch, and then I'm just going to cook up the edges here. Not burn my hand, that'll be awesome. So I try to do a little bit at a time. Just want this to not be so dangerous. So I let it cook a little bit. So I'm just letting this burn a little bit. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do is just take a hard metal surface and rub it across the edge just to stop that burn. You can use a spray bottle if you want. It's a little safer. Just have this on hand right now. So knocking back all that scorched area, make sure all the ashes and everything are gone. It gives a nice burn. So I'm going to go ahead and do it around the entire piece. I recommend doing this outside if possible. And you can also just brush this along the surface of your map as well, and it'll kind of char some of the areas. Really bring out those crinkles and wrinkles in there and give you a little more to look at. And this application, you can use this not just for pirate maps, obviously. I used this for the Santa's Sleigh video. When I did the list, I went ahead and used this, and it was perfect. So I wanted to bring this to you guys so you can see. All right, so we're going to continue around the entire map, burning the edges. And you want to keep this random too. I like to do it subtle in some areas and then heavier in others, just to make it look like it's naturally worn. Like I do with most of my projects, I want to make sure that it looks as natural as possible. Okay, so I just finished burning all the edges, and I just wanted to give you a little more detailed look at the map. Burned a couple holes in the center as well, but overall, when you see this thing from a distance, I don't know if you can see it like this, but this is it. Okay, for this next step here, what I'm going to be doing is adding a little more color to this. So I want the edges to be a little deeper in color. So I'm going to take just regular, what the hell is it? Regular acrylic paint and dump it in some water. And I think we'll do like browns, green. So I'll take a little bit and just start dabbing away. Again, if you've been watching me, I like to work in layers when it comes to painting and creating things. It gives a really good effect when you have a lot of layers. So that coffee is the first layer set in. We crinkled everything up, give it another extra layer of texture, and we burn the edges. And now we're applying a little more washed out paint around the entire edge of the map. Give it a little more age. It really helps to sell the overall piece when it's finished. You want to break up as much of the monotone color as possible. This is exactly what this is for. I'm going for like an old cow hide or maybe an old papyrus kind of map. Just a rough sketch I did of the map and kind of the placement of some of the things I want on here. So I'm just going to use a regular pencil. Use a regular pencil. I'll sketch in all the line work and then I'll go over it with some pen and maybe some paint just to enhance the look a little bit more. So as I'm doing this, I'm letting the line work be very choppy, squiggly, whatever you want to call it. I want this to feel like a landmass. So, and I'll erase as I go and go back and do it again if I feel it needs something extra. Just want to get a rough outline of the map here first. Okay, so I went ahead and I did the pencil work on the map first. I found that it was easier just to sketch it out. You guys can't see it on the camera. I tried to film it, but it didn't work out. So I wanted to go ahead and just show you the outlining so you can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm doing a traditional pirate map, so nothing too fancy. I just want that line work to be visible now. So I got all my sketch done and I'm just going over everything. So as far as what I'm putting on here, I just looked up different ideas for pirate maps and kind of the common look. So obviously a pirate ship's going to be on there. I'll do a sea monster. I'll do like some kind of key or something like that. But I just wanted to give that authentic feel too. And then what we're going to do after I do all the line work here is I'll go back with some paint around the borders of the island, do a little bit of shading, light shading. If you look at old pirate maps and stuff like that, they have a little bit of light shading, so it's interesting to look at. So I'll be doing the same thing. Hopefully this is a little more visible now. So now that I got all the line work done, to pop this out so you can actually start to see it, I'm going to start doing some washes with just regular acrylic paint because I want to create a wash to it. I want it to be relatively thin because everything on old pirate maps and stuff like that, it looks inked as opposed to like a paint. So I want to do a real light coat of this. So I'm just going to go around the shoreline here. So hopefully you guys will be able to see this. And just kind of let that color bleed all against the shoreline here. Now I'm just going to ink this all around the shoreline. Okay, so I finished the water portion of it, and as you can see just from that, it really starts to bring out that island. It starts to pull everything together with just a little bit of color. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the interior of the island. And again, I'm just giving more depth, more layering. So the overall look is really nice and clean, authentic looking, really sells exactly what it is. This is a really cool, fun, easy project that you guys can do too. Doesn't take much at all as far as cost and material, very inexpensive. Just a piece of cardstock and a little bit of craft paint, very easy, very easy. And some of these mountains and stuff, I'll go ahead and just give a little bit of coloring too as well. I don't want to lose all the artwork here, so try to go more subtle. I've done this scroll type of deal before on other projects, but never an actual map. So this is a first go for me. So I'm sure I'll run into some issues like I typically do. But very fun project. But again, the trick is to, when you're doing this, you want to blend out the colors. You want to make sure they're very thinned out with water, and then blend them out with extra water when you're done. You don't want any hard lines on this other than the actual markings on here. You want everything else to look faded, so keep that in mind. Alrighty, so as you guys can see here, just a little bit of work and you can get a really cool looking pirates map. Yeah.
Ladies and gents, it seems as though you made it to the end of our video today. Good for you. If you want to see us make more piratey things in the future, make sure to write us down in the comment section below. Leave this video a thumbs up while you're there. And don't forget, we drop content whenever we can. So make sure to hit that notification bell so you know exactly when our next video comes out. But until next time, keep building things, stay true, and don't forget to be wild with it. I'm your host, Captain Carvalho, and I'll see you on the other side. Dahil pinalas para sa